susunod na programa ay rated PG. Ito ay nangangailangan ng patnubay at gabay ng magulang para sa mga batang manunood.
Wait, I have a story to tell you first. In a certain town of Persia, there lived two brothers, one of whom was named Qasim and the other Alibaba. Their father at his death left them a very moderate fortune which they divided equally. Qasim married a woman who inherited a well-furnished shop, a warehouse filled with good merchandise, and some considerable property in land. Her husband thus found himself quite a prosperous man and became one of the richest merchants in the whole town. Alibaba, on the other hand, who had taken to wife a woman no better off for worldly goods than himself, lived in a very poor house and had no other means of gaining his livelihood and supporting his wife and children than by going to cut wood in a neighboring forest and carrying it about the town to sell on 3 asses, which were his only possession. One afternoon, Alibaba was hard at work felling a tree on a new hill, when he heard numerous footsteps approaching at full gallop. They seemed to be coming straight towards him. Hurriedly, he shinned up a tall tree to see what it was.
They must be a band of desert marauders.
Surrounded by a cloud of dust was a troop of sturdy men. Their faces were burned black by the sun, and their eyes glittered like bright copper coins. Certainly, they were no ordinary travelers. At the foot of his hill, the riders all dismounted and walked up to an immense rock. The one in front, who seemed to be their leader, yelled in a loud, gruff voice,
"Open sesame!"
Right in front of him, the sheer face of the rock began to smoothly and silently divide into two until there was an opening a person could pass through. Into this, the robbers disappeared one by one, but soon they re-emerged empty-handed. They'd left their loot inside.
Close sesame!
As if waiting for the sound, the rock entrance began to close up until no sign of it remained.
I wonder if I've been dreaming, or perhaps it was all a mirage.
Alibaba sat there for a long while gathering his wits. Then, making sure that the robbers had all ridden away, he climbed gingerly down from his tree and round to the rock. In a timid, quavering voice, he called,
"Open sesame!"
These were indeed magical words. Effortlessly, the rock reopened and Alibaba saw inside a large cavern with a high vaulted roof. Chests of all sizes crammed with gold coins were piled high. Intricately worked gold and silver ornaments littered the floor, and the sparkle of many jewels seemed to light up the darkness.
I give thee thanks, O Creator of heaven and earth, for bestowing on thy servant this treasure the robbers have built up over many years.
Afterwards, he took just a small part of the hoard, 5 or 6 bags of gold, and started to leave. He concealed them among the firewood and cautiously went back home. Now, Alibaba's wife was herself the daughter of a woodcutter, and she didn't know what color gold was or what, if anything, it smelled like. But when Alibaba took out a handful to show her, she began to howl like a wild animal.
"Thief! Villain! Whatever have you done? Haven't you always said it was better for us to starve than to steal from others? They'll hang you now, that's for sure.
Calm down, woman.
Alibaba told her all that had happened that day. Then, although his wife was still upset, he sent her to his brother Kasim's house nearby to borrow some scales. This Kasim was a real tightwad, and he listened suspiciously when his wife told him of his sister-in-law's request.
What? Lend him my scales? When he can barely afford feed for his donkey day by day.
She says it's just to weigh beans, but I know what we can do.
And Kasim's wife secretly smeared grease on the bottom of the pans before she took them out to Alibaba's wife. In this way, they hoped some of whatever had been weighed would be stuck there when the scales were returned. When the pair examined them after they had been brought back, imagine their surprise. Instead of beans, what they did find was a gold piece. Kasim immediately hurried off to his brother's house and
You
began
miserable
bellowing.
thief! Where did you steal this from? If you don't tell me right away, I'll drag you before the magistrates myself.
Quiet down, Kasim. I've discovered some magic words that open up a cache of treasure. Here, take half of this gold coin.
They'll do for now. But where's the rest hidden? And what are the magic words?
Kasim couldn't wait, and he set out for the robber's cave at dawn.
Open sesame! Wow! Look at the gold! And the silks and brocades! But wait, while I'm busy here, somebody might come along and see me. Close sesame. Good! It's shut again.
Wildly, Kasim ran around poking into everything and gathering together more than he could possibly take away with him. But when he was ready
wheat.
to leave, suddenly the
that's
magic
wrong, that's
words
wrong.
wouldn't come to him.
Open barley. That's not either. Open millet. Damn! Open peas, open rice. Kasim is my name. I'm not here to steal any of your hard-won treasure. You know, it's just that I know the magic words.
That's all we need to hear.
And on the spot, they hacked him into pieces. The wife of Kasim, in the meantime, began to feel very uneasy when she observed night approach, and yet her husband did not return. She went in to the utmost alarm to Alibaba and said to him. Alibaba did not wait till his sister entreated him to go and seek for Kasim. After advising the disconsolate wife to restrain her grief, he immediately set off with his 3 asses and went to the forest. He was struck with horror when he discovered the body of his brother cut into 4 quarters. Yet, notwithstanding the small share of fraternal affection he had received from Kasim during his life, he did not hesitate on the course he was to pursue in rendering the last act of duty to his brother's remains, and commanded the door to close. He took the road to the city, taking care to wait at the entrance of the forest until night had closed, that he might return without being observed. Alibaba knocked at the door, which was opened to him by a female slave named Morgiana. This Morgiana was crafty, cunning, and Alibaba knew her
Morgiana,
abilities well.
The first thing I have
When
to
he
request
had
of you
entered the
is
courtyard,
inviolable secrecy.
he unloaded the
These 2
wood and the
pallets
2
contain the body of
packages
your
from the
master,
ass.
and we must endeavor to bury him as if he had died a natural death. Let me speak to your mistress, and take good heed of what I shall say to her.
Morgiana went to acquaint her mistress that Alibaba had returned, and Alibaba followed her.
Well, brother, what news do you bring of my husband?
Oh, my sister, I cannot answer you unless you first promise to listen to me from the beginning to the end of my story without interruptions. It is of no less importance to you than to me, under the present circumstances, to preserve the greatest secrecy. Discretion is absolutely necessary for your response and security.
Alibaba then related to her all that had happened during his journey, until he had brought away the body of Kasim.
Sister, here's a great and sudden affliction for you. The evil is without remedy, but nevertheless, if my good offices can afford you consolation, I offer to join the small property Heaven has granted me to yours by marrying you. I can assure you my wife will not be jealous, and you will live comfortably together. If this proposal meets your approbation, we must contrive to bury my brother as if he had died a natural death. And this is an office which I think you may safely entrust to Morgana. And I will, on my part, contribute all my power to assist her.
Baba Mustafa, a man well known throughout the city, was naturally of a gay turn and had always something laughable to say. He examined the piece of money, and seeing that it was a gold, he said,
"This is a good wage. What is to be done? I am ready to do your bidding."
Baba Mustafa, take all of your materials for sewing and come directly with me. But I insist on this condition, that you let me put a bandage over your eyes when we have got to a certain place.
Oh ho! You want me to do something against my conscience or honor?
but Morgiana interrupted him by putting another piece of gold into his hand.
Allah forbid that I should require you to do anything that would stain your honor. Only come with me and fear nothing.
Baba Mustafa suffered himself to be led by the slave, who bound a handkerchief over his eyes and brought him to her deceased masters. Nor did she remove the bandage until he was in the chamber where the body was deposited, the severed quarters having been put together.
Baba Mustafa, I have brought you hither that you might sew these pieces together. Lose no time, and when you have done, I will give you another piece of gold.
When Baba Mustafa had finished his work, Morgiana bound his eyes again before he left the chamber, and after giving him the third piece of money, according to her promise, and earnestly recommending him to keep her secret, she conducted him to the place where she had first put on the handkerchief. Here she took the bandage from his eyes and left him to return to his house, watching him, however, until he was out of sight, lest he should have the curiosity to return and notice her movements. Alibaba had a son who had passed a certain time with a merchant of considerable level, who had always bestowed the highest commendations on his conduct. To this son he gave the shop of Kasim, with a further promise that if the young man continued to behave with prudence, he would marry him advantageously.